So what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of TM in Sweden, aka We Got Next. I'm one of your hosts of the show, Hayes, aka AO Shifty, with the one, the only Steven at Steven_Springs. Steven, how you been? How's life going?
Good, man. We're busy. Penn State bye week, but we are 6-0, number 3 in the country. So things
hmm
cannot be better right now. Actually, to be honest with you.
So we'll kind of jump right into it because that's one of the topics I did want to talk about. Penn State. So before we dive into everything else, just tell us a little bit about the quick slants for those that have not listened to it. Um, just kind of give a little taste of what you usually talk about.
Yep. So I actually just wrapped up doing an episode, doing this week's pod before I jumped on here. Like I said, we have a bye week, but plenty to talk about. I talked about the Heisman race, talked about Penn State, Wisconsin next week. Obviously, we're going to be there, which is super pumped, dude. Super
hmm
pumped for a road game. Always the best. So that'll be fun. Got a good squad going out there for that. And yeah, just talk about the USC game. It was close. It was overtime win for the boys, but hey, man, winning is tough, dude. Winning is tough, and it seems like every weekend another team is losing. Like look at Ohio State. If you're
hmm
winning is tough, man, no matter what. So very happy to come away with a W. I was able to watch that game alone. The final 5 minutes of the game, got to watch that
Let's
alone
go.
along with overtime. So that's important to me. So, but yeah, quick slants out. I might put it out tonight, make it go live tonight. It gave everybody an
hmm
extra day since it's a bye week, whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, next week cannot come soon enough. It's going
hmm
to be an explosive weekend, especially. Well, we're gonna. Do you want? Are we jumping into college football stuff?
Not yet. So we have two hot takes, and then we'll
Okay.
dive into that.
All right.
So the first one that I wanted to bring up, and I know we focus a lot on the MLB and NFL and NBA. So the first one is going to be in the WNBA. Uh, did you hear at all what Angel Reese said?
About her $8,000 a month rent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a only in sports thing, Steven, because in the real world, there's no way in hell I'm going to spend, I don't even spend $8,000 now on rent. You're spending $8,000 on rent. And then they said that her income, her salary from the WNBA is less than 80,000.
But that. What your salary is.
Yes.
So I don't feel bad for you. I know
No.
you probably got some endorsements and other things going on, but you're not making, tens of millions of dollars right now, right? You're
No.
you're not. So I don't feel bad for you. I don't feel bad for Angel Reese that she's, that she's renting for $8,000
Yeah.
and you don't make that much. Um, yeah, that's no, that's
You're
stupid.
you're living above your means.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
essentially what the regular people call it. Because if you think that that's going to fly, I can't do something like that.
no,
There's no way.
no.
So that was kind of the first thing. But then I want to talk about the second person, and that's Caitlin Clark. So
Mm-hmm.
she did make the AP first team essentially
Yep.
for the WNBA. So what are your thoughts on that? She was up there with Brianna Stewart and then Asia Wilson and then Collier from the Lynx, just amongst some others. But what are your thoughts when the rookie is on the first team?
I mean, she was one of the best players in the league, start to finish. So
hmm
not surprising. It's crazy how polar opposite right now those two are.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
Caitlin Clark is only associated with basketball.
Yeah.
Angel Reese is not. Like
No.
basketball is maybe good on those stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, good for her. And
Podcast being one.
I think um, you know, this happening to Caitlin Clark and her having the success that she's had, and it seems very
hmm
unlikely that it's going to slow down anytime soon. I think it's a cool slap in the face to all the women's basketball players that kind of tore her down a little bit. You know what? I was thinking about this. I watched the MLB. And I'm going somewhere with this, and we've talked about
hmm
this before. And I think you know where I'm going. I watched the MLB postgame show after the Yankees or the Dodgers game the other night. It was on
hmm
Fox or MLB or TBS or whatever it was. I think it was Fox, but it was Kevin Burkhardt,
hmm
A Rod, David Ortiz, and Derek Jeter. Some of the biggest names in MLB history and certainly our lifetime.
Yep.
Um, they had the pitcher on for the Dodgers. or I forget who the fuck it was. Maybe yeah, for whatever, doesn't matter. But they were hyping him up, like they were giving him his flowers. The basketball is the only sport that does not hype up.
They don't do it.
It's younger generation. Football, dude, football, like there's always banter. Like there's always like I would have ran your ass over in the hole. Like, like Ryan Clark does that all the time. Like he's always talking shit, but like he absolutely respects the younger generation. Hockey,
he's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, hockey from what I've seen, it's the same thing. Like there's smack talk, but it's like they still show a massive level of respect. Football, like I said, the same thing. Baseball, way more so, I think, than those other two sports. They're always giving flowers to those guys. So I appreciate that. Basketball does not. Like
men's or women's.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like a dude could drop 50, 60, and they still clown him for something. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just so crazy. Like, there's so much good talent in the league. Like Diana Taurasi did the same shit to Caitlin Clark. It's like, why? Like, what's the point? What do you benefit from talking shit on the younger generation? Like, Caitlin Clark saved your asses.
Yeah.
With no Caitlin Clark, you're not relying on Angel Reese. Like, come on. Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in women's basketball over the last long time, dude. And we've had this conversation. We've talked about it like, during March Madness, but like she is the biggest name to come into women's basketball, and like probably since Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, like way back in the early 2000s, Candace Parker. Like she's carrying a lot of weight for this sport, and she's doing way better than everybody expected her to do. I mean, there's bound to be some stuff off when she comes to the league. Not really, dude. She's still dropping triple doubles, still dropping mad assists, still being the same person. And she's it's crazy. Like, good for her, dude. First team, like all WNBA, like that's impressive. And rookie of the year by landslide. So yeah, she's the face of the league, dude, and good for her. I just hope, and I keep saying it, I just hope that she doesn't burn out in like 3 years and they just break her down. But Angel Reese is doing all the dumb shit, so all the eyes are gonna be her anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So
good for Caitlin Clark, though.
Two things with this. One, it says a lot about the women's basketball committee for the Olympics, because how does she end up making first team, but she's not on the Olympic team?
Yep.
It shows you that there's politics in that. Now, on the other side, with Angel Reese, part of it is, I guess my algorithm shows me far too much. Like when she's out at these different events and the outfits that she wears, like Steven said, it's not focused on basketball. She's trying to do about it in a different way. Caitlin has not said a damn word about her salary because she's just getting in a different way.
Also, I haven't seen her since the season was over. Since her season was over,
she's disappeared. Yeah,
she's like Tim Duncan. Like,
yes,
you're never gonna see her in the off season, and when you do, it's gonna be probably videos of her in the gym.
Yes.
So,
that's why you cannot hate on her. There's nothing, like, she's doing it. There's two players, and the other one, of course, I'll talk about a lot as it leads up to the game. Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins. You don't hear about them off the court stuff. Like, all they want to do is hoop. And that's why, and then you can also put Paige Buckers in there. They want to do is hoop. They don't care about all this other stuff and all these different shows. And that's why one reason that I do like Haley Van Lith, because she left LSU. She realized that wasn't her, so she went to TCU, another place where she can kind of fit in. So additionally with that, and not trying to pin it all against Angel Reese, you hear and notice that Flau'jae Johnson and Angel Reese don't really talk. So that's kind of like another thing. When you look at, if we're just sticking straight LSU, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even you can put any of the other ones in that category, they all talk. Like, after they're done, they're still talking and boys. So it kind of shows you there was something deep down there and the women's basketball team. Like Steven said, they just don't give flowers to each other. And that's where the hate honestly lies.
Too bad.
But as the season starts to get closer, we'll end up talking about that. But I want to go into probably one of the most exciting things that happened over the weekend. So as everyone knows, it was a huge week for college football, just in general. Number one, for anyone that didn't watch the Oregon against Ohio State game, you kind of saw that affected a lot. And before I talk about the rankings or anything, because this happened today, what are your thoughts on the committee going so fast to change the loophole in that 12 men on the field rule?
The chance of it happening again in the regular season is very slim.
It's
Very slim. So, you know, yeah, I don't think it makes a difference because it's so hard. Like, I just don't. People don't understand how impressive that is to like think of that on the fly. To know that, I mean, every coach
to know the rule.
knows. Like, every coach knows the game. Like, every coach knows the game, like the back of their hand. 'Cause that's all they fucking do is college football, and like they know the rules, and they're all extremely intelligent. Now, there's levels to it, obviously, as we know, but
Yeah.
like those guys, like at Oregon, Dan Lanning, James Franklin at Penn State, Ryan Day, like all those guys are extremely smart in those situations. Like, does it always pan out? No, like this maybe could have bit him in the ass, but it didn't. And like that was a great move. And like to close that up really quick, again,
Yeah.
not surprising because the NCAA moves quick on a lot of things, but not surprising.
Yeah. So that was kind of the big thing that I did want to bring up because one, it does show you that when they want to get involved in rules and change different things up, they will do that. And it's more so they're not changing a rule per se, they're just closing that loophole so someone else doesn't try and do something like that again. But again, like Steven said, that's probably one of the most intelligent things I've seen in a long time. But on the other side, Ohio State's quarterback lost track of time because there's no way, one, you stopped in the pocket and then you started running. It wasn't like one of those Josh Allen things where like you fake and go. He legit chilled in the pocket for a second, then ended up going.
They had one more timeout as well. And
That's
they
the
didn't
thing.
take it.
Yeah.
That's the situation. You have to call a timeout, settle everybody down. You have to know that there's 6 seconds left on the clock. We only need, I don't know, maybe like I forget what it was, 15 yards, we'll say. 15 yards. If it's not there, just throw it away. Like, don't waste any time. And you can get a play off in the 6 seconds and get the yardage you need, especially with a guy like Jeremiah Smith, Mekabuka. So like that's another miscalculation by Ryan Day. And now Ryan Day is, I think, 1-5 against top 5 teams. Now most of those teams have been Michigan. He's lost 3 straight, but it's not. Look, for all the talent that he has come up short. So we got them in 2 weeks at home, but that's a situation where you have a timeout left. Call it, settle your team down. It's a crazy environment. The bad move by Ryan Day. Good. I'm happy they lost.
It was. Yeah, so that's kind of how I want to start going into things. So the rankings did come out. Number 1 is Texas, but this game that they have coming up, this is a big game, not only for the SEC, but for, I would say, the top 10 as a whole, because Texas plays Georgia. Georgia's already 5-1 because they lost 1 game. Number 2 is Oregon, which is good for them, 6-0, and then they're in the Big Ten. This is like the first year in there. They beat Ohio State, like we just mentioned. Number 3 is Penn State. Did have a scare for a second. Not going to lie, I did not know if Penn State was going to be able to hold on to that, but then, USC did some stupid stuff in overtime, which ended up allowing Penn State to end up coming through on that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, big win for the boys. Massive one Saturday night coming up. Another great weekend of college football. You mentioned it, Texas and Georgia in Austin. Yep. I'm really happy that game's in Austin and not on a neutral site. That shit always bothers me. But it's gonna be another great weekend. And now we're getting to the heart of the schedule. We're halfway through the season. Love that Penn State has a bye week right now. That's
big time.
Huge, dude. Sometimes you get them too early, sometimes you get them too late. It's rare to have one dead center in the middle of the season, and we have one already. So we've had 2 bye weeks. So I think this is a very crucial point for this team to have a bye week. Yeah, lots of great games. I did want to talk about the Heisman race for a second. I'll try and make this quick, but I think there's 4 guys in the Heisman race, 3 and then a wild card. And then I'm going to add another name in there. Ashton Jeanty, running back from Boise State. Travis Hunter, wide receiver DB from Colorado, and Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. And the one wild card is Dylan Gabriel, quarterback at Oregon.
Yeah.
Only because he's the quarterback of the second-ranked team in the country, and he just had a big day against the third-ranked team in the country on a national stage. So that automatically puts him in the Heisman conversation. His numbers are good. Yep. They're not what Cam Ward is doing, but they are really good. So if he has a good back half of the season, things can rise. I'll start with Travis Hunter. Colorado's 4-2 right now, and he's got a ton of yards receiving. He's got a handful of picks. They can't finish any worse than 10-2. It just doesn't work that way. If your team's 9-3, 8-4, you're not winning Heisman. Although, actually, that's a lie because I think Jaden Daniels won it last year, and they weren't like 12-0. So it does happen, but super rare. We'll edit that part out. But Travis Hunter needs to have a massive back half of the season. They don't play any ranked team the rest of the way, so it's not going to be, they don't have a top 5 team or a top 10 team where he can have those moments. He has to be the reason they go 10-2. Shedeur Sanders, he's not going to be in the Heisman race. They're only going to go with Travis Hunter from that team, unless Shedeur Sanders puts up insane numbers. But for this conversation, he's not in the race. Travis Hunter needs to have a massive back half of the season. It didn't have one against Kansas State. That hurts because they were ranked. They lost. So you see, I think he's the best player in college football, but if your team's, again, 8-4, 9-3, you're not going to get any love, no matter what. Now, he's going to be on every All-American list, whether it's offense or defense, but he needs to have, moments and big games the rest of the way. Cam Ward is on a very similar pace to what Marcus Mariota won in 2014. I say that. He's on pace like 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, 40-plus touchdowns. I think he leads the country in passing yards and touchdowns. And Miami's ranked 6th in the country. So they don't play Clemson, Pitt, or SMU, the other top teams in the ACC. So they are extremely lucky that they don't have anybody the rest of the way. But that hurts them because Louisville's not that good anymore. They don't play any good ranked teams. So he's going to be the quarterback of this Heisman race. No pun intended, but he needs to keep producing. I say the Marcus Mariota thing because Melvin Gordon that year, running back from Wisconsin, he ran for over 2,500 yards and 29 touchdowns, almost 8 yards a carry. He had over 2,700 all-purpose yards, 32 touchdowns. Wisconsin went 10-2. He finished second in the Heisman behind Mariota. So brings me to Ashton Jeanty. He's on pace for that season, 2,500 yards, almost 35 touchdowns. He's averaging 200 yards a game. Boise State, he's not going to win the Heisman because he's a running back at Boise State. That's a fact. He's not winning the Heisman because he plays at Boise State. And you know how many people watch their games? Not many. Not many. Their games are always late, and they're not on ESPN or Fox. They're on CBS Sports Network and shit like that. No one's watching Boise State. The diehard college football fans, if I'm up, which I am, I have that channel, I'll watch just because I love the sport. I love the sport and I love watching guys like that play. The average fan is not watching Boise State play, at 10 o'clock. That's just not happening. So that sucks for him because he's having an incredible season. They lost to Oregon. It's the only loss of the season. They lost by 3, and he had a big day. Okay, so that helps him. If they go 11-1 and they're 8th in the country, because right now I think they are 14th or 15th, something like that. So if they go 11-1, if they go 11-1, they'll be that team in the playoffs. And he's at that 2,500 yard mark. He's going to need Cam Ward to slow down. He's going to need Travis Hunter to have a bad game or they lose again. So it's kind of a wide open race. There's not Jeremiah Smith's not winning it. Ryan Williams from Alabama's not winning it. Jalen Milroe from Alabama's not winning it. Quinn Ewers, he missed some games. Had he not, he'd be the guy. I think he'd be the runaway favorite right now, even with what Jeanty's doing. But if he has a big game, let's say he for conversation, throw a wild card in there. Let's say he throws for 400 yards against Georgia and 4 touchdowns, and they win handily. He's right back in the conversation. But he has to have a huge game in order to do that. Missing that many games, there's too many guys with better stats ahead of you. So sorry, but not gonna happen. Jackson Dart is leading the country in passing. They have 2 losses. He's done. Carson Beck at Georgia, his name can be put in the conversation if he has a big game in Austin, 350, 400 yards, or whatever, and a bunch of touchdowns. So there's other guys that can be in there, but it's midway through the season, but it's kind of late in the season for like a no name to pop in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you this though. If my guy, Tyler Warren, Penn State's tight end, he had 17 catches for 224 yards and a touchdown against USC. He has played, literally, he has played every position on offense. Receiver, tight end, quarterback. He snapped the ball on Saturday, so he's played offensive line, and he's played running back. He's done it all this season. He's the best tight end in the country, but he's also one of the best players in the country because of what he does for this offense. If he has a big game against Wisconsin on the road at night at Camp Randall, and he has a big game against Ohio State the following week, that the following Tuesday of that Ohio State game, the playoff rankings come out. I'm just if your boys are number one in the country or number two in the country, and he's had back-to-back big games like 100-yard plus in both games, his name's right there in the Heisman mix, because the Heisman is like, typically goes to the best player on the best team, but sometimes there's another random guy. He's got to have big games though. Like if he has 5 catches for 60 yards and no touchdowns against Wisconsin, like conversation's over. But if he has another 12 catches, $180 and 3 touchdowns, and throws for a couple yards and runs for a couple, and does it again against Ohio State, the conversation gets lit up. I'll save my other quick rant for the end of this, but this is a good Heisman race. Like GT, unfortunately, he's not going to win it. He probably had to rush for like 3,000 yards for him to win it. Like, which playing the teams that he's going to play the rest of the way, he's got a good chance of getting well over 2,500 yards. Best team they play is UNLV, and UNLV's total defense is ranked 80th in the country. Everybody else is so he's going to run all over these teams. Like he's going to have, and what's going to hurt him is that he's going to have probably 1 or 2 games in there where he doesn't play in the second half. So if he played and busted up 40 carries, 45 carries, he'd have 300 yards every single game the rest of the way because those teams are dogs. So it's a good Heisman race. Travis Hunter, ideal world, Travis Hunter goes off, special back half of the season, a couple pick sixes, big moments, bunch of yards on offense. GT rushes for 2,700 yards. Cam Ward throws for 4,800 yards, and it's just a crazy race. That never happens, but that's an ideal world. But this is a really good Heisman race, and there's not a lot of these guys were Cam Ward. People knew about him, but he's having a Jaden Daniels type of season. Ashton Jeanty, true college football fans knew about him, but now he's having an incredible season. Everybody knows about him. Travis Hunter has been the star of the show for a long time. Dylan Gabriel, he's been in college for 10 years. So he's on his the third stop. So, they won on Saturday night. So, there's I don't think it's midway through the season. So it's kind of late in the season for dudes to start coming on, but you never know. So it should be a good back half of the season for the Heisman race.
Yeah. So kind of just finishing up the top 10, Ohio State is number 4. Georgia's number 5. We talked about that. The Miami Hurricanes are number 6. We talked about them playing against Louisville. The games I want to talk about now are Alabama against Tennessee. I don't think people understand how important that game is for both sides. They're both 1-loss teams, and they still haven't finished up the rest of their season yet. So that's kind of big because both of them really can't afford a loss right now, but clearly one's going to get it. The next one, number 8, and this is the one that I'm pretty impressed with, LSU. So for the team that LSU has, because it's not one of their best teams that they do have, but they're doing solid work down there. They beat Ole Miss, which was a huge win for them. I did not expect that to end up happening. So big ups to them on their comeback. They play Arkansas this week. Iowa State is another one. First off, I was talking to one of my friends that are from Iowa, and I was like, what is there to do? They were like, nothing, just the 2 teams that are out there. There's really not much to do. They play UCF, and then number 10. And if you listen to any of the shows that Steven puts out about the quick slants, he has mentioned this team, Clemson. Clemson is 5-1 right now, and that's kind of a sneaky 5-1 because they fell under the radar a lot because of the fact their past couple of teams were not good. So they've been able to not have that hype going on with them. And like Steven said, Miami and Clemson don't play each other. So that's kind of favorable for Miami in that sense, and then number 11 is Tennessee, and then we keep just going down the list. The other part that I did want to just talk about is which of the teams in the top 10 would you say really can't afford a loss for the remainder of October, I would say?
Probably Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
LSU, like LSU, Alabama. I guess Georgia too. Like two-loss LSU, two-loss SEC team with Texas up there, and then one loss Bama, LSU should Georgia lose. Like it's gonna be tougher, and then Tennessee's sneaking in there. So if you're one of those one-loss teams in the SEC and you're up there, like they're not getting 4 teams in. Like
No.
some teams have to fall off and some teams will, but they're not getting 4 teams in. They might like 3, if they're lucky, but not 4. So any of those one-loss SEC teams, Clemson, Pitt's pretty solid this year in the ACC. ACC's trash to begin with,
Yeah.
for the most part, but Clemson, yeah, they're sneaky, dude. Dabo Sweeney not going away, didn't hit the portal, but not going away. Kate Klubnik playing really well this year. So, but yeah, to answer your question, any of those one-loss SEC teams cannot afford a loss.
So the other part I'm going to bring up with that is the reason why I talk so much about that Alabama-Tennessee game, because LSU and Alabama still have to play this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens in November. And that's another important one because if LSU and Alabama go into those games not having any losses, that's a major game for them. Yes, of course, Texas is going to be up there. And yes, of course, Georgia. But like Steven said, 4 is probably your max. We're talking about 5 or 6 teams right now at this point. 2 of them are in the top 5. And then it's like you have 4 of them in the top 10. And you have a couple of them like saying hi from the outside. Mind you, A&M is right there as well at 14. So all these teams aren't getting in, and they all got to play each other. So it reminds me of the old school Western Conference, like early 2000s.
Yeah. And the Big Ten is going to have Big Ten. If the playoffs start today, the Big Ten would have 3 teams in the top 4.
Yep.
So they could, another team like Indiana, fucking Indiana 6-0. Oh god, that pisses me off. And Pitt 6-0 too. That also bothers me. Yeah, I mean that's why you love college football, dude. It's fucking BYU 6-0. They got a Jewish quarterback. That's wild. That's wild.
He was on something like ESPN today.
BY Jew is what I heard. That's crazy. Shout out to BJ for that one.
Shout out.
But yeah, I mean, like SMU in the ACC, they're 5-1. Illinois is 5-1. There's a lot of like there's a lot of Michigan's only 2-loss team or Ole Miss is 5-2. Michigan's 4-2. The only 2-loss teams in there. There's a lot of like good teams out there. Are they all going to finish 10-2, 11-1? No, because they all go play each other. But yeah, that's why you love college football. There's 6 games left, so let's battle out, right?
So I'm gonna use this as the perfect segue because if you listen to Steven's quick slants, his, I would say, disdain or disliking towards Pittsburgh. And so my question for you is, who do you think hates the team more? The way you don't like Pittsburgh or the way I don't like the Jaguars?
The way I don't like Pitt.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's just like, I mean, since birth, it's like there's 3 teams that you need to hate: Ohio State, Michigan, and Pitt, and that's it. Like, Ohio State, Pitt, and then Michigan in that order. I don't hate Michigan nearly as much as I hate. Actually, I hate Duke more than I hate Michigan. But I hate Michigan lately because they cheated. But yeah, Pitt is on the Ravens are up there too. So yeah, Pitt is absolutely on that short list.
So
I understand your hatred.
Yep.
For the Jags.
Yeah, so I'm using that as a segue because one, the Jaguars are going to be at home, their new home. But the first game I want to end up bringing up, and then we'll start to dive into some of the topics if anyone's wondering like why we're doing it this way. But the first one is the Saints and the Broncos. And mind you, so 2 rookies are playing, Spencer Rattler, and then against Bo Nix, which is one big thing. Rashid Shaheed is not playing. That's another one. Chris Olave is not playing, concussion. That's the first topic I want to talk about. And I was talking to someone at work today. I said, people talk so much about Tua Tagovailoa's concussions. Have y'all not made attention to Chris Olave's sneaky concussions? He's had 3 since he's been in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of something. And PS2 is not playing.
Yeah, no bueno on the concussions. Olave is really good. I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I think they're just playing better. The Saints give up 44 points to the Bucks. You know how hard that is in the league?
That is.
Like, you know, ass your defense has to be for you to give up 44 points at home. Oof, that's tough, dude. That's really tough. So I'm gonna go Broncos. Broncos Nation, let's ride.
Broncos. I got the Broncos as well. The next one is the Jags against the Pats.
Do they come back to the States and then go back, or they just out there?
Stayed there. They just stayed there.
Bro, that's booty. You know the league just hates them. Like, you know that the league just wants to stay there, bro. They are. That is booty, bro. And they never went out there either. They never went over there.
No. So they were at Tottenham's home stadium, and then now they're at Wembley. So they're at technically 2 different ones
where they play. Like,
but it doesn't matter.
I'm going Pats.
Yeah. So I was going with the Pats too. People are hyping it up because Drake May was doing much better than Jacoby Brissett, but the bar was like here.
Relax.
It's not like the bar.
Relax.
It's not like the bar was high.
Okay, yeah.
To start.
Okay.
So I got the Pats. The next one is the Seahawks and the Falcons.
Oof. The Seahawks need this one, I think. Because they didn't play well the other night. So I'm gonna go Seahawks in this one. Not confident in it, but I'm gonna pick the Seahawks.
So I have the Seahawks in this one as well. That NFC South is going to kind of be an important, just all-around division end up winning. But I think that the Seahawks should be able to have this one. More so Geno Smith with his 3 weapons. Although it's not really been 3, it's been mainly DK Metcalf and then Tyler Lockett, with JSN it's thrown in there some. So I want to see if they can end up doing that more. Plus they also have Noah Fant and then Ken Walker III. But I have the Seahawks. The next one, and this is where we'll take a break again, the Titans Bills. But what are your thoughts on Amari Cooper?
I was just going to say, I think Amari Cooper is a better trade than Devontae Adams to the Jets.
Yes, I say the same.
I know the history of Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Like, I'm not going to question that, but you know, Cooper's younger, healthier, and you know, like, you're not going to hear about him. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Like, I know he plays for the Bills. I know Josh Allen is his quarterback now, but you're not going to hear about him. Like, if he has a bad game or if he has 5 catches for 30 yards or whatever, okay, we'll move on. Devontae Adams has 5 catches for 30 yards first game. Like, they're going to blew him out of New York. So, I like that trade a lot better for the Bills. That's a huge win, dude. That's a huge win. That takes a lot of pressure off Keon Coleman as well. It takes a lot of pressure off everybody, dude. And I think Cooper's not, he's young. I don't think he's 30 yet. So that, I think that's huge and he's really good. Like, he's really good. I bet Dallas wish they would have kept him, but
30.
I think, he's 30. Okay. So we still got some time. But yeah, I think that's a really good trade for the Bills. I think that's going to really, really help them out the rest of the way. It's early in the season too, to get this trade now instead of game 10, 11, big. So I picked the Bills in this one, but I think that's a better trade than Devontae Adams.
So my first thing, one of my coworkers is the Buffalo Bills fan, and I had to tell him they're essentially accepting that they were wrong in the way they did the Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, because you got rid of both of them and then you traded for a wide receiver. You could have found a different way to end up handling this, or you could have gone after DeAndre Hopkins in the summer. There were a lot of different things you could have done, but the other part, and we'll use this just to talk about everything. Did you hear how they compared Jahan Dotson, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper?
No.
Okay.
Who did?
So they were showing it online because Jahan Dotson was traded to the Eagles for a 3rd-round pick and 2 7s. Ooh. Amari Cooper was traded to the Bills for a 3rd-round pick and a 7th. Devontae Adams was traded to the Jets for a 3rd-round pick. Which is unlike the other?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Interesting. That doesn't make any sense. I didn't know
No,
that.
but it just shows you the
Come on.
Eagles are not great when it comes to draft value of different things.
No.
And the Commanders definitely fleeced them on that one.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but the Bills, it helps Keon Coleman's growth, I will say. This reminds me a lot of, and I don't know if people know this, Eric Rowe. So when Eric Rowe played on the Eagles, they throwed him to the Wolves on Thanksgiving Day against Calvin Johnson. And Calvin Johnson had his way.
Oh,
It
here's that.
was terrible for his growth. And so I'm saying that for Keon Coleman, you have someone to learn from, but you don't have to be forced to be the star. Because in the last game, there was one play where Josh Allen was like, F it, Keon Coleman's down there on the sideline. He was on the
Oh,
left
dropped it.
side and he dropped it. Yeah. And it was one of those of Amari Cooper probably would have made that. Stephon
Sure.
Diggs probably would have found a way to make it. But now Keon Coleman can grow, and also Khalil Shakir can just be in the slot.
Okay.
Curtis Samuel's clearly not the one that they thought he was going to be. And then now Dalton Kincaid can probably be a little better too. But it just shows you what that one person can do, no matter if he's catching the ball or not.
All it takes is one.
So all it takes is one. But I have the Bills in that one. The next one, Bengals Browns.
Bengals need this one. You know, the Browns
Bad.
need it, but they're not gonna get it. So I'm going to Bengals.
Do you think I got the Bengals? Do you think Deshaun Watson will be benched at all this year?
Who's their backup?
Come on, man.
Who's their backup? Oh, Jameis.
Jameis.
Oh, God, dude, that's tough. I'm gonna say no, because it's Deshaun Watson is better than Jameis Winston. Like that's a fact.
Yeah.
And, no chance. No. Unless you think the team's gonna rally around him, he's gonna provide a spark. But the sparks gonna be the other team is gonna throw picks. So I'm going. No, I'm going Bengals.
Yeah, so I have the Bengals in that one. It's a tough one. Jamar Chase is looking good. That's another thing. And finally, he is. Chase Brown probably is going to become the starter sneakily because Zach Moss keeps fumbling it. Yes, Chase Brown did have a fumble last game. Don't get me wrong, in the clutch, but they stayed with him. So that kind of shows you a lot over there. Joe Burrow, definitely, I was not expecting him to run for the touchdown he did. But nonetheless, I have the Bengals in that one. Next game is within the top 4 games of the week, Texans Packers.
I'll go Texans. I think they're on a roll right now.
So I have the Texans in that one. Nico Collins is out for anyone that does not know. Yeah, Dolphins Colts.
I feel like the Dolphins haven't played in a long time. I haven't heard their name in a while. I'm gonna go Colts.
I'm going with the Colts on that one. Only reason is, caveat. If Anthony Richardson is playing, the Dolphins might win.
Facts.
If the Joe Flacco's playing, cool. But the other part is, as long as Tua's not there, I don't really have a lot of faith in anybody over there on them because all their weapons mean nothing without Tua. So I have the Colts in that one. Next one, and so far between Steven and I, we've agreed on everything. I'm 95% sure this next game we won't. Lions-Vikings.
Lions.
Okay.
Are you going Vikings?
No, I'm going Lions. I definitely thought you were going to choose the Vikings.
I don't know. I think the Lions are hitting the stride right now. Now it's still early in the season, and they'll fall off. Lose a game or two midway through and get back down to life, get back down to earth. But I think that they're playing really well right now. So losing Aiden Hutchinson is brutal, dude.
Huge.
Brutal. Like I feel the pain, man. I feel the pain. We've lost TJ Watt a few times, so I get it. Like I get it. That was tough to watch too. But that's big. But I still think that they're playing at a really high level. And we'll see what Minnesota is really made of. Yeah, because Detroit spanked the Cowboys.
They did.
Spanked them, dude. That's tough.
It sucks.
That's also tough.
The big thing is, for anyone that doesn't know, if you ever wonder why coaches bench their players when they're winning by so much, that's why. Yeah, they were winning by a lot, but you just don't know. Those are freak accidents at the end of the day. One of my coworkers actually did the same thing to his leg when he was on a motorcycle a year and a half ago, and he was like, "Oh, I can tell you the exact process of what's going to happen in every single thing." So he explained it. It's going to be a long process, but he said
Yes.
the difference is
Compound fracture.
he had compound fracture, yeah, and only difference was we didn't see the bone. They said that that injury is very similar to what Kevin Ware did. For anyone that
Oof.
doesn't know,
Oh,
from Louisville as well. But yeah, he's not anyone that thinks he's coming back this year. He's not. He might not even be back next year. It really just depends on how this injury ends up being once surgery and everything happens. But I have the Lions. Next one, Eagles Giants
ew.
revenge game.
I'm gonna go with the Eagles. The
Yeah,
Giants are booty.
they are. I'm going with the Eagles. Malik Neighbors, this is a little concerning because this concussion is still lingering right now. He's still technically in the concussion protocol. We don't know how that's going to go. For a lot of people out there that treat these players like they can't have a life, yes, Malik Neighbors was at the Travis Scott concert, and they were saying that that's terrible for him. Number one, do you just want them to sit at home the whole day? Like they can't do anything. I That's all I have to say. So you could definitely tell a lot of the people that have never played football and only care about their fantasy teams. But I have the Eagles, Raiders, Rams.
Ew, another bad game. The
Hmm.
Rams are 1-4. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Rams though. I think the Raiders are starting to fall apart.
All I'm gonna say is, oh, Max Crosby, pay attention to him around the trade deadline. They are saying that the Lions are looking at him, especially with this injury happening. And then they just traded Devontae Adams, and they don't really know who it is at quarterback, and they don't really know what they're doing at running back, and they don't really know what they're doing at wide receiver. So for those reasons, I'm going with the Rams. Next one, Panthers, Commanders.
Commanders, Panthers suck.
This is an easy one.
That's easy.
Commanders. Yeah. Next one, Chiefs, 49ers.
Chiefs. I think I don't want. I'm not gonna. I don't want to say it, but as much as the Ravens are, I think it still goes to Kansas City. This,
Hmm.
every season until otherwise. So I'm going with the Chiefs. I don't think the Niners are good, but I think the Chiefs are better.
So now it's when we defer on things. 49ers, there's going to be, I was telling people that there's going to be a loss. Nobody knows when. The Chiefs
Mhm.
are not going undefeated. They don't even have a full roster.
Right. Yeah.
So, but we don't know when it's going to happen. Now, the next one, for two reasons I want to talk about. Number one, and I brought this up last week, I didn't know it was going to happen in a win. I thought it would happen in a loss. But the Steelers potentially going with the new quarterback.
I don't know, dude.
It reminds me of college.
I don't know. We're 4-2. We're a couple plays away from being 5-1.
Hmm.
Justin Fields is not making mistakes. He's
Hmm.
not playing like out of his mind, but he's not making mistakes. I think he's got 11 touchdowns with 1 interception.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is getting going a little bit. He had a big day against the Raiders. Defense is playing good. I just don't know why you do it. Like I don't. Like the only other way you do it is if Justin Fields is struggling at 2-4. I don't know if it's just to get him run. I don't know if it's, I don't know why they would start Russell Wilson. I honestly don't.
Hmm.
Mike Tomlin, he's been doing it for a minute, but he never had this problem to worry about. Like he never had this like he had one quarterback his entire career,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah.
So he's never had to make this decision. Like I trust Mike Tomlin to a degree. He's I just don't know, dude. I just don't know why you bench Russell Wilson and why you bench Justin Fields and put Russell Wilson in.
Hmm.
You never know. Russell Wilson can come in and completely light shit up, and it goes that way. But he hasn't played in a fucking long time, dude.
Yeah.
And you can throw him into the fire like that on a Sunday night game against New York, who just got Devontae Adams, so they're going to be hype coming off the launch. They got to play well. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Bothers me, but it's not official. It's not official. It's still
No.
Justin Fields as a starter, but it's out there. So now we got to
Yeah.
talk about it. But I'm
Yeah.
going.
Who
Oh,
you got?
I guess I got to pick. Oh man, I'm gonna go with the Steelers. Mainly because I trust the defense. It's at home, so I'm gonna go with the Steelers. Not a ton of confidence pick points,
Yeah.
but I'm going with the Steelers.
I'm going with the Jets for the same exact reason Steven said. They have a lot that they need this game for. Same thing we were talking about in college football. The Jets need this,
Dude, can't be 2-5.
and you cannot,
Cannot be 2-5.
especially making that trade.
Nope.
No,
You cannot be
and
two.
that
That is
division is theirs.
2-5 is tough to come by, dude. It's tough to come back from. Like
Yep.
it's been done, yes, obviously, but 2-5 is it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. But in
Yeah,
that division, there's some wins out there. So
exactly.
we'll see. But that 2-5 is tough.
Yeah. So I have the Jets. The next one, Ravens, Bucks.
Bucks.
I'm going with the
Dude,
Bucks as well.
I cannot stand Ravens fans. This happens every time, dude. Every time. I respond to one of these clowns. They're always hyping up Lamar Jackson. And I'll say it again. Like, I get it. You're not going to hear me deny how good he is, how great he is, how elite he is. He's, easily one of the top 3 players in the league, regardless of position. MVPs to show for it. Great. Awesome. He's probably going to win it again this year. And they're going to win a bunch of games again. You got to do it in the playoffs, dude. He's 2-4.
Yeah,
I know.
that's
I
the thing.
know. I know his playoff records better than the Ravens fans do. He's 2-4 in the playoffs. Got a completion percentage below 60%, at 57.4 to be exact. He's got 6 picks. He's got 6 touchdowns and 6 picks. Like,
Yeah.
those Aaron Rodgers, same way, dude. Like, those MVPs are dope. I know they mean a lot, and like Lamar Jackson's already kind of cemented his legacy right now. But like, you gotta do it in the playoffs. That's when it matters. Like, and people say, "Oh, Joe Burrow." Dude, I have seen Joe Burrow take his team to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I know he didn't win it, but there's like that holds some weight, dude. Like, that holds weight. Like, it's like he went through Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's been a while, but like, I've at least seen Joe Burrow do it. Like, I've seen Josh Allen get his team within 13 seconds of beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. Like, I've seen him get to that point. I've not seen Lamar Jackson do shit in the playoffs at all. And Ravens fans jumped down my throat. I'm like, whatever. You guys are idiots. You guys are and like they still bring up the fact that people said he can't throw the ball and like he should play wide receiver. Bro, no one's talking about that anymore. We all know he can pass. We all know he can do everything. He's fine. But like, you gotta do the playoffs. So I hate Ravens fans, dude. I hate living in Baltimore and the Maryland area because of that.
If there's any year I would say the Ravens have a good chance to go to the Super Bowl, it's this year.
Easily, dude. Because you cannot prepare for that offense. That's extremely tough. You just don't pick your poison. And the receivers are starting to come on. Like, starting to.
Yeah, you see
You're still going to need those guys to really step up when it matters most. And Mark Andrews as well. Defense, it's getting better.
The secondary is terrible.
It's getting better, but yeah, the secondary is no bueno. And I think the Bucs can really expose that. Chris Godwin might have a huge day. And that's also pick your poison thing. Chris Godwin or Mike Evans.
They don't have anyone for that.
Yeah, and just let Baker Mayfield drop back and sling it. So I think one of those guys is gonna have a big day. Gonna lean toward Chris Godwin, and it's in Tampa Bay. It's not a home field advantage, but whatever. So I'm gonna go with the Bucs on that one.
So I have the Bucs. Last one, Chargers Cardinals.
Ugh. I'm gonna go. I hate the 2 Monday night games. My voice is cracking again.
One is ESPN Plus exclusive.
That's on ESPN Plus. That's so disrespectful. That's so disrespectful. I'm going with the Cardinals.
So low.
I'm going with the Cardinals.
I have the Chargers in that one. I'm partially looking forward to when the Chargers and Ravens play. That's kind of the main Chargers game I'm going to care for. But what you got?
I'm super pumped for next weekend, bro. It's going to be a great time. Like, home games are fun. I know it's been a hot second since we've been to a game. I think it's 2018, maybe 2019.
That's crazy.
So it's been a hot second. Road trips are just a great time. Like, like if you lose, that's a tough flight home. I'll tell you what. But I feel good about this one. It's going to be a great time. I've heard nothing but good things about Madison. like nothing but good things. I've not heard one person say one bad thing about Madison, Wisconsin. But people are great. The drinks are good, food's good. Great atmosphere. Obviously, bucket list going there and seeing jump around. Fly to Milwaukee, get the car, drive out to Madison, little road trip with the boys. We got a good squad going out. You, me, and BJ. We got tickets. Got the room. Got everything locked down. So it's finally here. Weather looks football weather. It's gonna be 60 and some wind.
So good.
But it's gonna be sunny. So this is your first road trip, obviously. But it's gonna be a great time. It's not better than it goes whiteout road game. Those and then or late season 3:30 games. Road trips are just great time. My Uncle Jeff was gonna go, but my cousin is having her second baby this week or next. So he's got to stick around for that. So shout out to Jeff. We'll miss you, but regardless, we're going to do it up, and it's going to be a great time. Great time. Yeah. So really looking forward to that.
Looking forward to it. So my other thing, I'll do mine. Steven gets excited for Penn State, and then also when Pittsburgh Steelers do well and various things like that. This right now in the MLB is the equivalent for me. And I say that because, being from New York, the last time something like this happened, where I don't think it'll happen, but the Mets and then the Yankees play each other was in 2000. Only other thing is, what's even better, the Yankees and the Dodgers, two huge market teams potentially playing each other. Yes, I'm saying the Yankees are going to the World Series. Did you see the way they just dismantled the Cleveland Guardians 2 times in a row?
It's been kind of boring,
Yes.
Not a lot going on.
The AL's been boring. The NL has been more of entertainment. And then even tonight, so the Dodgers are up 2-0, which is a big game because first game in Citi Field. So that's important because if the Dodgers take this one, they can almost possibly afford next game if they do lose. You don't want to go down 2-1 on the road in any sport. You take this one, give yourself some cushion, and then you end up being able to go back. What I also love is, could you imagine Shohei Ohtani, the first year he's going to the playoffs, he goes to the World Series after all the stuff that happened before. So that's kind of the thing that
after the Angels not doing shit for all that time.
Yes. Yes. So it just would show you a lot of what the Angels are doing over there. But that's my only thing. I don't talk a lot of baseball, but when the Yankees are at this point, especially every year when they're able to buy their teams, I love to see it. But until next time, we out.
Peace.